Alright, welcome back to Love Ru Anime Review Part 7. This one discussing the last 3 OVAs released for the original To Love Ru anime. OVAs 4 through 6. The first one is called Trouble Quest, and it's a slight altered retelling of the actual 6-part arc in the actual manga. But the thing is, now, they make changes to this thing, and the changes make absolutely perfect sense to do. Now, first off, they kind of in a way rearrange it. I mean, when you watch it, it's like, wait, is it similar to a Freya where they basically jumps out the main story without explaining how the heck they got there, but explain later in the flashback? Well, yes, they do the exact same thing here, except that, well, the difference is that they move the flashback a little bit later. Yeah, you're probably thinking, how in the world can this one OVA, which is roughly about 25 minutes, how in the world can it adapt 6 chapters into an episode? Well, by basically making a whole lot of changes. Yes. So, first we have, it's where we see that Rito, Minkin, Yuri, she's actually this point woman, and Haruna are basically adventurers battling a monster. Minkin and Haruna are sorceress. Yui is a fighter, probably because she beats up Rin a lot. Rito. And Rito is a florist. Now, the other 3 I get. I don't have a problem with that classification, but florist? Really? Sounds so lame. And if you're curious, though, do they make what changes they make here? Well, for instance, they show the Demon Lord a little too early, who the Demon Lord is, where it's actually the magical girl. Yes, and they give her they show off her outfit too early. They actually have her in her metal bikini armor the whole OVA. Like in the manga, this doesn't happen until a little bit later. Also, when Rito arrives in the world, he arrives in a different location. In the manga, he arrives in the middle of a field. In the anime, he arrives in looks like a bar with the bunny girls, which in the manga, they actually just went there instead of just landing there until they got there. And of course, then we have Haruna showing up. And of course, well, Yuri basically does the same thing where she lands right on top of him. Basically, her groin in his face. And of course, she does slap him for it. And of course, do the ritual. And they do have the thing where she's like, why am I in these very obscene clothes? Yeah, and the fact that you're basically obsessed with being so pure. And yet you show off your sexy legs, Yuri. Yep. So, they go on a little adventure. Now, they actually do cut some stuff here, basically, because it's a bit rushed. But even though, yes, it's an OVA, they don't have much time, so they cut some of their quests a little bit short. They don't show every single thing they do here from the actual manga. It's basically an alternate retelling of it. And they get to the end, and they actually change who runs the inn here, because in the manga, it's just some random old guy who runs the inn, and in the anime, it's the school nurse. I'm like, okay. I mean, they do show that characters do show a little bit later. They kind of in a way change basically some character appearances when they first show up. Because here's the thing, in the manga, now basically Yami is here. Yeah, she's here, but they have her show up a little bit later than she did in the actual manga itself. Also, they do not keep a secret who the heck is behind all this. Oh no! In the manga, you don't see her faces until chapter 97. Because in the anime, they show right away, oh, it's 2 girls with pink hair and basically tails. They're from the planet Deviluk. They don't reveal who these ladies are until the very end of the episode, but yes, they do in fact make their first appearance here. This is the first appearance of Nana and Momo, Lala's little twin sisters. And, of course, also because the anime is obsessed with basically sexual stuff, oh yeah, habits where I think it's Nana has got a bigger chest than her sister. Also, she sort of in a way has a thing for Rito. They kind of bring us up in the very next one. So, oh yeah, and apparently there's a bug that causes they need to go haywire. They actually do make a change when they get to the actual fight itself. And they actually added a character here, aside from adding in the Mikito. The principal is actually here too, but in the anime he's cut off from the episode, and rightfully so, because his appearance is complete pointless, and don't really need to see the perverted principal here. His place here makes no sense at all, and in the anime he's nowhere to be seen. So they go to a casino, and they come across Saki and her two... Actually, not Saki. It's actually Lisa and the other woman. The lesbians. Yeah, the lesbians. They're in the series. And, of course, like usual, they're groping Haruna. Did they do this in the manga? No, they're actually not in the actual chapters of the manga. Yeah, they actually... This is actually... These two are another group of characters. They actually... Who, from the actual series, they actually edited this story because they really wanted to use these characters. So... They're here briefly, and then of course they go to the inn where they run the Mikito, and how basically Rito meets up with the magical girl is actually a little different. And I found this meeting to be a little more interesting in the anime than how it was in the manga, because in the manga she just basically peeps her head up the window because he's trying to sleep outside. Because in the manga they don't really explain, they don't give a reason why he does this. In the anime, just to give the girl space. Yes, and in the manga, she just peeps up, oh, hi. It's like, she's like, what are you doing here? And I appreciate the anime, where the anime is so hilarious. Where she just walks up to him while he's sleeping. Yes, while he's sleeping. And of course, she was given blankets by Haruna and, of course, Yui. So... And she basically gets right on top of it. It was like, why do I feel so heavy? Oh yeah, there's a woman right on top of me. Yeah, because here's the thing. In the manga, she actually wears a regular outfit that she wore in the actual TV show that's shown in the actual anime. She wears the outfit. And yet for some reason, the anime has it where she's in her bikini underwear, like a bikini swimsuit the whole time. Yeah, which... Anybody about thinking, like, wait, why the heck is she doing this for? Instead of wearing her traditional attire. Oh, because she's a demon lord. So have her be more sexy than usual. Because that's the thing when it comes to fiction. If you're female and you're evil, wear less clothing. If you're male evil, wear more clothing. Yeah, it's an old fictional trope that's been around for a long time. Even comic books that did it. Like when they had Raven turn evil, she basically wore very little clothing because she didn't freaking care. Of course, that happened back in New Titans number 100. Back in 90s, mind you. Yes. And then, of course, they revealed... Then, of course, the Demon Lord goes basically haywire because of a bug. Though eventually they do, in fact, beat it. And they do have Run here as well, even though she's another character who's actually not in the manga in this arc. She's actually not in the chapters. This is another character they added in. Makes some sense, like, oh, she was actually blackmailed to help them. Like, okay, and girls get past them really easily. And that's, of course, where Yumi shows up, and she's wearing a bunny suit. Though, in the anime, they make a slight change with her. They refer to her as a bunny girl. In the manga, they refer to her as a playgirl, which I thought was so hilarious. And this is something that I think is quite strange about Yumi. Is this me, or she's got, like, not Yumi, Mikin. She's got, like, no interaction with anybody. Now, she's interacting with Yami. She's interacting with Lala. Haruna, but not the other girls for some reason. Like, they don't say a word to her. I'm like, really? Why the heck would they wouldn't do that? So odd. And eventually they do, in fact, beat her off screen and they get transferred back home. And then, of course, they actually made a slight change to the ending where a lot of the sisters actually stayed because in the manga they left. Yeah, also, like, how they got back to Earth is actually different. Excuse me, because in the manga, Lala transformed into her traditional space outfit and she basically transformed back to Earth. Yes. And in my opinion, I think what the anime did actually made total sense. And it was pure fun. for this one. Yeah, it's just a good anime. I mean, yes, it does alter stuff in the manga, but the changes are perfectly fine. If you like what the anime did with it, it's perfectly serviceable. I'm sure even fans of the manga probably appreciate it. Yeah, the anime did this arc a lot better than the actual manga did itself. Yep. The next one adapts from chapter 141. This one is partially adapted. It's mostly focused now. The opening is actually still from the manga. This is from chapter 141. Oh, by the way, 4 is adapted from chapters 93 to 98. 5 is adapted from 141, and 6 is adapted from 139, 141, and 142, and 43. Only 2 of these ones actually are faithful to the source material. The other one is just slightly changed. Yep. So with this one, it's basically Nana and Momo basically just observing Rito the whole episode. Though they need to make a change here too. Of course, the opening bit is, I think it's Nana who's actually of course you have Rito waking up and he thinks that Lala's in his bed like she usually does, but nope, it's actually Nana. And of course that's like, what did you do last night? Like, what did we do last night? Also, I should point out though, 4 is actually a debut of Kanita, the sort of like little child of Lala who was given to her 16th birthday. Yeah, this OVA, the 4th one, is her first appearance. Not only of her, but all sisters as well. I mean, the sisters making sense make debut here, that's fine. But the little girl, it's kind of odd that they skip over her introduction. One of like a few things they skipped over because stuff is stepped out of order. Yep, so they pretty much have them basically do random things like observing him like, oh, let's have him trip in front of Haruna, though she able to dodge it. Have him basically collapse when Ren runs into a classroom and he basically falls over. Of course, runs on top of him. He has one hand on Lala's breast, the other one on Yui's breast, and he gets slapped by Yui. Apparently, Lala has no problem with basically Rito touching her chest because, well, they're engaged. And then they have the Sakura Tree viewing party, which, yeah, this is something I've seen in several different anime, which doesn't get old. It's always nice to see. It's a nice little visual. Though this is like, okay, let's bring in a tree. Let's bring an alien tree to spend pollen on at least everybody's true self. Have Hard become a big jerk basically because Rito basically has been like nagging on confessing to her. Lala is completely affected. Of course, Yumi sees illusions, thinks she's a spa. Everybody acts really weird, and like everybody like loses their clothes, and because Yumi basically goes nuts trying to take out the alien tree. It's a pretty. And of course, the thing ends with Yumi with Lala and Nana in the same bed with Rito when he's trying to sleep. And that's where the thing ends. It would have been something hilarious though if he had all 4 sisters in the same bed and no, they're not having sex. And of course, Lala is naked like usual, which I thought was kind of funny. It's an interesting OVA. The last one is basically broken up into 3 parts. And the way they put this together is quite interesting. Because they kind of put 142 first, where it's focused on Yui. Where she's basically trying to tell an upperclassman, dress right and get rid of the hair. And he's like, I'm an upperclassman, so you can't tell me what to do. Like that Yumi shows up, slices up his shirt and his hair, and apparently will take time to accidentally slice off her panties. And she also slices up the lockers. So apparently Yumi's basically, I get her basically, it's understandable she's concerned with the fact that her panties are gone. But she's always been concerned with the fact that people's lockers were destroyed. So the whole episode, she's trying to prevent people from seeing her panties on. By the way, this is not the first anime I've seen this happen, where you have a female character who walks around without any panties on. I believe I also saw this in Rama Half. I think it was that one, where a character walked around in panties for a whole episode. And of course, the main character is trying to prevent her skirt from going up because her panties are not there. Yep. And of course, well, hijinks is like everybody basically trying to prevent. And of course, Rito looked like he saw, like I saw something extraordinary. And then he gets knocked out by a freaking teapot because the ghost girl gets scared by a dog. Yep. The second one's quite interesting. where it's focused on Meekin, where she basically goes to a shopping mall. Though she runs into Pick there just by sheer coincidence. Of course, why is he there? To visualize clothing for Lala to wear. And he said, "Oh yeah, I've got years worth of clothing for her to wear," which is interesting at best. I could explain where she gets her outfits from. So basically, at one point, they're just basically walking home when he's basically finished and she's finished shopping, and then her bag gets taken by a thief who later turns out to be an alien. And how they chase him down? Well, Pip basically puts Meekin in Lala's traditional attire. By the way, this is actually the first story Lala does not make an appearance, which I'm like, that's kind of weird. Yes, because nobody shows up a lot. And this is the first time I can think of for this series that Lala has been absent for a story. Which you're probably thinking, did this happen in the manga? Oh, yes, it did. It happened several times in the manga where Lala's not even there at all. So, after they catch the guy, and she's basically at one point puts on Yumi's outfit, and then Yumi comments in it later when she basically takes in the guy's like, "Oh, contact Zest, basically, he'll take care of it, contact Galactic Police." And she comments basically wearing the same outfit, and doesn't say, "Why are you wearing my outfit for?" I thought that was quite funny. Last one is pretty faithful to the source material of this one. This is taken from chapter 143, where Rito is actually seeing Lala's bedroom for the first time. Yes, this is quite interesting because this is something they never showed in the actual anime itself. Someone walking into her room, seeing her lab. Because they completely cut this out of the regular anime anytime they would come to this room for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but they did. So he picks the device, accidentally gets attached to Lala's tail. And he spends the whole story being attached to her tail the whole time. So, spends the whole day with it, does various things. At one point, she falls out after taking a bath. One time, trying to go to the bathroom. And she had to wear a mask so you basically wouldn't hear anything. Then, of course, she basically took a bath. And she falls on top by pure accident because he's still attached to her, because his hand's still attached to her tail. So her younger sister proceeds to beat him up for supposedly being inappropriate, despite the fact this is perfectly natural for people who are engaged to do. And then eventually, during the middle of the night, the thing just wears off. And then Chilla, who's basically their little girl, yeah, you see her also in the thing, just eating a bowl of instant ramen. It looked like something that Naruto would normally eat. And the thing ends in hilarious fashion with him getting attached to Rito's face. Yeah, this has happened in manga too. I gotta say, for these three OVAs, the fourth one is just pure fun, just enjoyable RPG, and it feels almost like an isekai. Which you gotta appreciate the fact it actually has that flavor to it. The second one, the fifth one, is just pretty. It's actually okay. It's enjoyable OVA to watch. Last one is just something basically they would do later on, where they do these serious segments. From what I can tell, they did this also for Mato to Love Ru. They actually adapt this particular this style of basically storytelling for that one, just tell multiple stories in the same episode, which is going to be quite interesting to see of how they adapt that. So yeah, that's it for this particular review. And I was planning to do more video, but it's almost 11 o'clock, so I figured though I'll save for tomorrow along with doing Black Clover. And I'm probably going to have more anime debut this week, basically, because I think 7 Daily Sins comes back this week in Quintessence Quintuplets. I'll check it just to be sure. So expect to see those videos sometime this week, okay? This is the video. Bye.